Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Acquire Tech. It's been a couple of months since I last filmed one of these videos, so I wanted to wrap this one up before the end of the year. Now, if you're new to the channel, this is what I normally do every couple of months, just to show everybody what I've recently picked up or purchased, or maybe had some viewers send in for a donation. Just to kind of give you guys a heads up of what I got and maybe what I'll be testing at some point in the future. Obviously, what you see here is a lot of older video cards. That's normally what I focus on my channel, but I do other content as well. So without further ado, let's jump straight into it. So the first card I wanted to mention is the HD 4850. This was sent to me by a gentleman that goes by the name of Erik, or Beaver, and he sent me this is a 1 gig variant of the HD 4850. It's got a Zalman-like orb type cooler, and it works, which is good, but it'll be nice to compare this card to maybe some 9800 series from NVIDIA, see how it stacks up in some maybe some modern games and some older games with updated drivers as well. So thank you, Beaver, for sending me that one. You also sent me the GTX 460. This is a 768 megabyte variant, so it does have the neutered memory bus. I believe it's 192-bit. And it does have less L2 cache and less ROPS as well. But yeah, the GTX 460s were legendary performers back in the day. You could overclock these things to very high frequencies and get them to be very solid performers for the price. So yeah, it'd be nice to kind of test this and see how it does. By today's standards, though, the memory or lack of it is going to be a huge issue, but we'll have some fun with it regardless. Next card up is the HD 2900 GT. Now this card is a one to add to the collection. I am still missing a couple of the HD 2900 series, and I purchased this one on eBay. If you go on eBay right now and search for this card, you can find it for sale for around 20 something US dollar. I think it's 23 or something like that. So I bought it from from the seller on eBay. And I'm pretty sure this card is never been used. It's brand new. I would speculate that he probably bought a number of them when they couldn't sell back in the day, because these cards were released very close to the release of the HD 3000 series, specifically the 3850, which pretty much removed the need for this card completely. It only has 256 megs of memory. It has one of the compute units disabled, so it only has 240 stream processors, 12 TMUs, 12 ROPS. I think it has a 600 megahertz core clock. So it's a really neutered R600, and I don't expect it to perform that well. It probably would go up against the 8600 GT, but it's still an HD 2000 series, which I'm obviously a big fan of, as you probably can tell by watching any of the content on my channel. But anyways, it's great to have. So yeah. Another ATI card in front of me was sent to me by a viewer that goes by the name of Phillip. He's actually he watched my XTX video and said, hey, I got a 3870 X2. I noticed that you were looking one, because in the video I stated I was looking for one. And he said he would ship it to me if I just paid for the shipping. So that's what I did. And I fired it up, and it works perfectly. No problems whatsoever. It does have some damage here on the cooler. It is cracked a little bit, if you can see, if it does focus. And it has a piece in there moving around a little bit, so I got to figure out what that is. But anyways, I'll get that taken apart and get that piece removed, and then have something to test it against my 9800 GX2. And I'll probably throw some other cards in there too, because we already know how it's gonna pan out. But anyways, very nice to add another X2 to the collection. So thanks, Phillip, I appreciate it. Next card, 7800 GT EVGA CO edition. Copper edition is what CO stands for. It is a highly overclocked 7800 GT. It rivals a 7800 GTX in performance, or almost does at least. And it's got a 470 megahertz core clock, which is pretty giant leap over the reference clocks, which are 400 megahertz. It does have a 100 megahertz memory clock as well. But yeah, I had two of these back in the day when I was gaming, maybe playing Modern Warfare, the original Modern Warfare. I had two of these in my system with a AMD 64X2 4200, I believe, and I love these cards. They were awesome. I eventually did replace I've replaced both of them with a single 8800 GT, and which they got smashed by. But I still hold these cards still hold a place in my heart. They're amazing performers for the money back in the day, and so it's great to have them again in the collection. Next card. A gentleman that goes by the name of, actually I don't know his name, but his channel is called Remix Reviews. He also has a website called the same, and I'll link his channel here in the description and here on the screen. But he does review a lot of newer tech. But he had this card laying around, and it's an engineering sample of the HD 6870, so Bart's. Yeah, he said it does have some issues with artifacting, so I'm assuming it just doesn't work properly, at least. And anyways, it's an engineering sample, and I get to add it to my collection, so it's nice to have. So thank you so much for sending it to me. And again, I'll link his information down in the description if you want to check out his content on his channel. But yeah, thanks a lot. I really appreciate it. Next card. Well, here's the fan for it, at least. Here's the card itself. It's my first Granada card. Woohoo! Finally have a Granada. Never owned a Hawaii card, never owned a Granada cards, and now I do. Now I get to feel the power. And unfortunately, if you could tell by the shroud, it's a Gigabyte WindForce card, which means, well, first of all, this fan died, so I bought another one to replace it. It's coming in the mail. But the WindForce heatsink, eesh, oh my God, what? They really skimped on this thing. There's no way this is going to keep the 390 cool. I mean, obviously it does. It keeps it from throttling, but man, it has to run in the high 80s at least with this little piece of aluminum. Man, anyways, I think Timmy Joe had the same card and had a heck of a time keeping it cool. So I might look for another cooler for it, just depending on how hot it runs, how well it performs, obviously. But I want to compare it to the 1060, maybe a 780, and some other cards as well. So anyways, I'm happy to have one. I finally have one. So before we jump into these two things, I wanted to show you this card. Now this was sent to me by a subscriber that goes by the name of Canupi07 or 07. And he actually has his own YouTube channel as well. I'll link that in the description and throw it up here on the screen. Little story on this card. It was my best friend's favorite card, and he died a couple of years ago, and I could never get a hold of his card, so I wanted something just to help remember him by, and this was it. I mean, this was a card. It's been I couldn't find one. I've been looking for a long time. Believe it or not, this card is pretty rare. They didn't make that many of them, and I could never find one. But Canupi, he just jumped on eBay at the right time and saw one for sale. He grabbed it immediately, and he sent me a message and said, "Hey, I got this card. I know you've been looking for it, and if it works, I'll send it to you." So he tested it out. It works. He sent it to me. Now he found out that I wanted it because he watched the Pixel Talk podcast, where I joined Nathan from Pixel Pipes and Aaron from Cutting Edge Retro, and part of the discussion on the podcast was, what is your most desired card at the time? And this was it. Not because it's super powerful or it's super rare, it's because of the fact that it was my best friend's favorite card, and he's no longer here, so I wanted something just to kind of honor him by, in a sense. So Canupi, man, really appreciate you doing what you did. It means the world, man. So thank you so much for doing that, and I won't forget it. So thanks again. So this little guy up here, it's a well, you know what it is. I don't really have to tell you anything about it. You've probably seen enough stuff on it. I'm not really going to test the CPU side of things here initially, but what I really want to test is the Vega graphics. And you've already seen many videos on how it performs and I mean, they're everywhere. Budget Bill's Official did an awesome review on it. But what I want to do is see how it performs against maybe some of these older cards, right? Maybe against an 8800 GT or an HD 3870 or maybe 90 or maybe an HD 7770 or just a random assortment of cards to see how it stacks up. The testing will be both in 1080p and 720p, depending on the game. So, anyways, I just want to kind of delve into it a little bit more, see how far we've come with integrated graphics. And I know this is very entry level, but what the heck, it's going to be interesting to me, and maybe it'll be interesting to you guys too. So this is going to be part of a small form factor build I'm doing in the next video, hopefully. It's going to be one of the smallest form factor PCs that has an internal power supply. So get ready for that one. All right, enough of the jibber jabber. Let's take a look at these two bad boys. You've probably been looking at them the entire time thinking, man, these are cool looking X1950 XTXs, right? Well, I thought they were just normal cards when I purchased them. I really had no idea until a couple of guys over on the Discord server said, hey, those are not normal. Those look just like the Uber editions. And lo and behold, they are Uber editions. Now, what does that mean? It means they're Ubered. Now, it just means that, they were, evidently they're binned. They do run at some higher frequencies over the stock 1950 XTXs. So these run at 670 megahertz on the core, and I think 2100 effective on the memory. These are the first cards to use GDDR4. So they have some pretty fast memory on them. They're brand new. They've never been used. So as you can tell, they're in perfect shape. Not a speck of dust on them. I mean, I couldn't ask for a better find. I bought them locally from a nice gentleman that goes by the name of Joe, and Joe sold to me, and I think I got them and everything for around $50, so a pretty good price for them, really. I thought it was a pretty good deal, and I'm really happy with them. I can't wait to test them, especially with the Crossfire cable, and get the rig up and running. I'll probably go XP on that system, but yeah, so the big story behind these cards are really that there was only 500 of these kits ever made. So these cards initially retailed for $788 US, and I don't think they sold that well because it wasn't that long after where NVIDIA released the 8800 GTX, which pretty much crushed everything. So yeah, anyways, Dave Orton, who was I think the president of ATI at the time, signed a document or something, and it came with a briefcase. It was a big to-do on these things. I'll link some information or put some stuff on the screen here to kind of show you, but yeah, they're rare. So there's only 1,000 of these cards in existence, at least with this BIOS, and the fact evidently they're binned. But yeah, they're, like I said, they're rare, and I happen to have 2 of them, so very happy about that. And yeah, that's going to wrap up this episode of Acquired Tech. If you guys have any questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments section. And if you have any old hardware that you'd like to donate to the channel or like to see tested at some point, let me know. Shoot me an email. It's found on the About Me section of my YouTube channel, or leave a comment below, and let me know if you have something you want to donate to help get the channel, keep it going. Obviously, I have enough hardware to keep this channel going for probably a decade, but there's always new and exciting stuff to test, even if it is old hardware. So, anyways, I appreciate everybody tuning in, and thanks for all the support, and Happy New Year. We'll talk to you all later. Bye.